So a couple of months ago, I got a new car, finally, after 13 years and 260,000 miles. And I have satellite radio. And I know to you that's not a very big deal, but to me that's a pretty big deal because I'm pretty excited about it. And mainly because I really like music, and I like all different types of music, and I like music from many different eras. And a lot of times in some of the satellite radio stations, they kind of give you a little bit of more information about some of the music, and they kind of have some background and some other things. So you kind of go behind the music. So the other day I was listening to No Shoes Radio, and Kenny Chesney was talking about his new song called Ends of the Earth. It's from his Songs of the Saints album, an album that he kind of started writing, putting together after Hurricane Irma went through the U.S. Virgin Islands and kind of took a toll on St. Thomas and St. John, and so the song was called Song for the Saints, or the album, like St. Thomas and St. John. It took me a while to kind of make that connection that the saints were the Saint Islands. But so there's a line in this song, and it says, "What good is living a life you've been given if all you do is stand in one place?" And I started thinking about that, and from there, from the point of the song, I think it's really written with a wanderer's heart. It's about going out and seeing the world and doing things and not just staying where you are. But to me, it really speaks to much more than that. It really speaks to a calling or a purpose and doing something with your life, and about avoiding regrets when your life is over. What good is living a life you've been given if all you do is stand in one place? A long time ago, Henry David Thoreau wrote in his book, Walden, "The mass of men lead lives of quiet desperation." Too often we lack direction and we lack purpose. We live in the grind. We're stuck in the rat race. We're climbing that ladder. We're building a nest egg. We're paying the price. We're working and we're waiting for someday. But what are we missing? Charles Kingsley once said, "We act as though comfort and luxury were the chief requirements of life, when all that we need to make us really happy is something to be enthusiastic about." Daniel Pink wrote a book, Drive, a couple years ago, and he talks about 3 motivators in our lives. And those are autonomy, mastery, and purpose. Autonomy, it's the ability to choose what we do and when we do it and where we do it, where we work, what we work on. And mastery is being good at whatever you choose to do. And purpose is finding meaning in whatever you're doing, whether that's your hobby or that's your occupation. And you think about that, and we can find autonomy and mastery within ourselves. We choose what we want to do and when, and we can develop our skills and our talents and our abilities through hard work. But we can't develop our purpose within ourselves. It's only in our interactions with and our service to others that we can really find our purpose. It's about teaching and helping and serving and giving. Right? So in Matthew 25, there's 3 main passages in Matthew 25, right, that Jesus talks about. One, the parable of the 10 virgins, the parable of the talents, and then he talks about Judgment Day. And there are a couple of primary lessons with those, right? It's about being prepared, it's about using your talents, and it's telling us that we will be judged based on what we have done. And it is always striking to me that Jesus says in the parable of the talents, what's he called the one who didn't use their talents? In the King James, it calls him lazy and wicked. The English Standard says wicked and slothful. And Jesus talks about that, and then in Matthew 25, he talks about the judgment, 34 through 36, he talks about the judgment day, and he says, "Then the king will say to those on his right, 'Come, you who are blessed by my Father, inherit the kingdom prepared for you from the foundation of the world. For I was hungry, and you gave me food. I was thirsty, and you gave me drink. I was a stranger, and you welcomed me. I was naked, and you clothed me. I was sick, and you visited me. I was in prison, and you came to me.'" And to me, this says we should be serving our community, the people around us, whether that's individually or collectively. It's been said that we serve all that we may save some. I think it's that spirit and that attitude that helped the church of the first century grow. That's part of what helped them and spread so much. People saw the Holy Spirit working in people's lives And they were filled with love and joy and compassion, and they were moved to serve others. Acts 4:34 and 35 says, "There was not a needy person among them, for as many as were owners of lands or houses sold them and brought the proceeds of what was sold and laid it at the apostles' feet, and it was distributed to each as any had need." They, in the first century, were a church of irresistible influence. And how can we be that impactful? I think it's about serving our community. It's been said, if we closed our doors, would anyone notice? If not, there's a lot more for us to do. That's why I was so excited recently when it was brought to the elders' attention that some people wanted to have a coat drive. I don't know whose idea it was originally, but it was a member's idea, and some talked about it, and they proposed it, and it was member-led, and it was elder-approved. I think we can do lots more of that. Find a cause. Be a champion. And let's look at how else we can serve and how else we can reach out. As a church, we are to go and make disciples. Right? We're to teach, to observe all things. We worship together and we fellowship together to integrate one another into the body. And then from that, we see an outpouring of love that results in service to those that are around us. We can't be standing in one place, leading lives of quiet desperation. Our purpose comes from loving and serving God, and we express that by serving those around us, by seeing the world through God's eyes, and by being his hands and feet, by serving all, that we may save some. So if you have any need at this time, if you'd like to put on Christ in baptism, please come as we stand. If you'd like prayers of the church, please come as we stand and sing this invitation.